Hello, dear student. How are you? I hope you are doing very well in your houses. All right. Here we have the material for this week, the Canterville Ghost. In this opportunity, we have to read chapter number 3. The objective of this lesson is to demonstrate comprehension of oral and written texts. Also, you will be able to identify key vocabulary and uses of present perfect tense for past actions. Okay? Okay. Before to begin the book, the chapter number 3, we have to do this pre-reading activity. Very simple, very short. You have to copy all these 3 questions and answer. So you have to think, what do you think is going to happen in this chapter? That's why it's a pre-reading. So we are going to guess, all right? Question number 1. Do you think the ghost will now scare the family this time? Why? Why not? Answer in your copybook. Do you think someone of the family will help the ghost? Why yes? Why not? Do you think a new character will appear in this chapter? All right. This is your personal opinion, so you have to answer in your copybook. Well, here we have the vocabulary for this chapter number 3. Remember, we are classifying these words in verbs, nouns, and adverbs. Verbs are actions, noun, los sujetos, ¿no es cierto?, de la oración, and adverbs, a word which modifies a verb, ¿no es cierto?, que modifica un verbo. We have the first word, locked. Very simple translation, bloqueó. It's past. Then we have the definition too, right? Pay attention to the definition too. Shocked. Translation, sacudió. Yes, it's past, the shake, all right? And we have also the word pea shooter, right? Lanzaguisantes is a type of gun, all right? Feather, pluma, yes. Remember, pay attention to the definition. Adverb soon and forward. These 2 words means pronto, all right? Remember the word locked, shocked, pea shooter or pea shooter, feather, soon, and forward, right? Another group of words. We have shroud, which is the translation in Spanish, sudario. This is a length of cloth or a kind of garment, okay, which that person is wrapped for burial, okay, como la investidura, como la ropa que las personas sepultaron en su ataúd, all right? Sudario, yes. We have the word corner, very simple, yes, esquina. Sheet is sábana, a large piece of thin cloth, all right, for beds. And the word brush, como nouns, okay, porque yo sé que brush también se lo conoce como brush your teeth, brush your hair, okay, cepillar. But in this context, it's a noun, so it's cepillo, right? The definition, a device composed of bristle, typically set into a handle, and used especially for sweeping, smoothing, scrubbing, or painting, right? Yep, so it's time to begin to read chapter number 3, right? I'm going to read, pay attention to the story, right? Chapter 3, a second ghost appears at Canterville. The next morning, when the Otis family met at breakfast, they talked about the ghost for some time. Mr. Otis was a little cross to find a bottle of Tamani's sun oil laying on the floor of the passage. Do you remember that part? ¿Qué pasó en chapter number 2 with the ghost and the bottle of oil? Do you remember that part when the ghost was very unhappy, was very sad because because Mr. Otis gave to him a bottle of oils. Do you remember that part? To put oil in his change. ¿Se acuerdan de los chains, de las cadenitas? Y él se enojó. Yes, he got angry. He was very angry for this situation. Y lanzó lejos la botella de aceite. Yes. Y ahí lo habían encontrado ya el otro día en el piso. Okay, I don't want, he said, to hurt the ghost in any way. Here he looked at the boys. We must remember that he has lived in this house for a very long time, so I don't think it's very nice to throw pillows at him. No, don't laugh, boys. It's not funny. But if the ghost won't use the oil, we will have to take these chains away from him. We can't possibly sleep with that noise going on outside our bedroom every night. Do you know what is happening in this part? Mr. Otis is talking with the kids, the twins. ¿Se acuerdan que estos twins eran muy traviesos? And in the previous chapter, they threw pillows at the ghost. Y ahí por eso es que el fantasma se enojó, porque todos le faltaban el respeto. Yes. Y ahí está el Mr. Otis llamándole la atención a estos chicos, ¿no es cierto? Yes. But for the rest of the week, all was quiet. The only interesting thing was the blood stain. Every day, Washington cleaned the floor with Pinkerton stain cleaner, and every night Mr. Otis carefully locked the windows and the library door. But the blood stain was always there again the next morning. It also changed colors a few times. On some days it was red, on other days it was purple, and once it was bright green. Most of the family thought these color changes were very funny, and they hurried downstairs each morning to find out a new color. The only person who didn't laugh was little Virginia, but she would not explain why. And on the morning the blood stain was bright green. She nearly cried. On Sunday night, soon after the family went to bed, the ghost made his next move. There was a 300-year-old suit of armor downstairs. Now, a ghost in armor will surely frighten even modern Americans, he thought. He began to put on the suit of armor. Suit of armor, it's una armadura, right? But it was too heavy for him, and he and some of the armor fell to the floor with a loud crash. All the men in the Otis family jumped out of bed and hurried downstairs at once. They found the unhappy ghost sitting there, holding his head and crying softly with pain. The twins had their pea shooters with them and immediately began to shoot little balls of paper at him. Mr. Otis brought out his handgun and, like a good Californian he was, called out to the ghost, "Hold up your hands!" At this, the ghost jumped up with a wild and angry scream and flew through them. Washington Otis' candle went out, and suddenly everything was dark at the top of the stairs. The ghost turned to give his terrible, ghostly laugh. The famous laugh which once turned Lord Raker's hair white in a single night. It went on and on until the house was full of the sound. A bedroom door opened and Mrs. Otis appeared with a bottle in her hand. I'm afraid you are not feeling very well, she said to the ghost. I brought you some of Dr. Dobell's special stomach medicine. If you are having trouble with your stomach, this will soon help you to feel better. Do you understand what is happening? Entonces, la familia estaba ofreciéndole ayuda a este fantasma. In fact, Mrs. Otis gave him a medicine, a stomach medicine, right? The ghost looked at her angrily and began to turn himself into a big black dog, one of his most famous tricks. But the sound of young footsteps coming up the stairs stopped him, and he quickly disappeared with a ghostly "ooh" before the twins arrived at the top. For some days after this, he was very ill, and only went out to make the blood scene again each night. But when he began to feel better, he decided to try for the third time to frighten Hiram B. Otis and his family. He spent most on Friday, the 17th of August, trying to decide what to wear. At last, he decided on a dead man's shroud, a large black hat with a red feather in it, and a long knife. That night the wind shook all the doors and windows, and the rain crashed down onto the roof of the house. The ghost made his plans carefully. "I'll go first to Washington Otis' room," he said to himself. "He cleans away the famous Canterville blood stain each morning, so I want to be sure that he'll be really frightened. I'll make ghostly noises to wake him up. Then I'll push my knife into my neck 3 times to the sound of slow music. Then I'll go to Mr. Hiram B. Otis' room. I'll make a terrible noise in his car, and at the same time put my cold hands on Mrs. Otis' face. Now, what about Virginia? She's never played any tricks on me, and she's sweet and pretty. Perhaps I'll just make a soft ooh in her ears, or move her bed sheets a little with my skeleton's fingers.